Ezekiel 35:5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time their iniquity had an end. Call halal Yahweh by Shem Hawashai by Shem Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen that look like the heathens. And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm coming at you with another lesson in truth. And this is going to be another TikTok Corner episode. In the first TikTok video that we're going to profile, just going into a little bit of history, Esau's history. This is one of the reasons why they don't like what they call CRT, critical race history, or critical race theory. It should just be simply called critical race history, because the so-called white man's history is critical race history. It is critical, it is very racial, and it was very violent. And through violence, blood, and thievery, outright theft, did he get everything. All right. So and this right here, what you're looking at, are images, newspaper clippings from the Red Summer that happened here in Chicago when they destroyed Chicago's Black Belt, which was equivalent to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And there were many other places. From what I'm told, the two Tulsa and the Black Belt were very, very well put together. It was an accomplishment that Jake had made, living on their own outside of dealing with Esau. So to a certain extent, but there was also a couple down in the Carolinas that were supposedly even grander than these two. Nevertheless, the destruction of them all was horrible, and Tulsa was one of the worst, because Tulsa, they actually used planes to drop bombs on the black portion of the city. Now, it was 35 city blocks. What was great was what they called the Black Wall Street. So, matter of fact, let's just play.
On this date in 1921, white people attacked the Greenwood district of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and burned it to the ground. They destroyed 36 square blocks of
36
black businesses, including doctors' offices, theaters, and homes. These black people lost everything, including at least 300 lives. This community was more known as Black Wall Street, and it was also known as Little Africa. Black Wall Street is considered to be the most economically prosperous community of African Americans in U.S. history. The massacre on Black Wall Street was the worst attack in history on Americans by Americans on American soil. Facts. That was Oklahoma Black Fact number 74. Let me know what you think of the Tulsa Race Massacre in the comments. Truly your number one history influencer.
So, yeah, that was a pretty sick thing that was done there. And like I said, this was carried out all across America. I don't know if you've heard of the what they call the drown towns, all the towns that they actually flooded out and created lakes and then built luxury homes and boathouses and things of that nature for water skiing and tubing and and all that sort of thing. So it's just been so much death and destruction has been done to Jacob. So as a matter of fact, let's go back to that Ezekiel, and we're gonna read Ezekiel 35, and I think I'm just read 1 through 6, and it reads, Ezekiel 35:1. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. Mount Seir is referring to the people who call themselves Caucasian or white today. That's Mount Seir. Those are the Edomites. Though many of them deny it, it's the evidence is overwhelming. Some of them don't deny it because they know. All right. And verse 3, and say unto this, thus saith the Lord power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make it most desolate, and I will lay waste the cities, Salakia, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. So after slavery, it got even worse for Jacob. Jacob prospered in his slave master's land, and this was the reward that they got for it. What you're looking at on the screen, what you saw in that short video, that was their reward from Esau Edom, because they just were so hateful they couldn't stand to see that Jake was doing well without them. That these slaves who had nothing, who were supposedly, according to the false science of Darwinism, were beneath them, were inferior, but yet they built up neighborhoods that equaled and actually became better than most of the affluent white neighborhoods in America. All right. Verse 6, therefore as I live, saith the Lord power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee, and since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So they're going to bleed. And the scriptures clearly says that, the only way to cleanse the land is that the blood be shed of them that shed it. That's in Numbers. All right, so let's go back.
On this date in
Let us find the next video. All right, which is this one. We'll play this video real quick.
God is black.
God is black. Everybody knows God is white.
Everything the white man taught you, you accepted. He taught you you were a black heathen, and you believed him. He taught you to worship a blonde, blue-eyed Jesus with white skin, and you believed him. He taught you that black was a curse, and you believed that. Did you ever look up the word black in a dictionary?
For what?
Did you ever study anything that wasn't part of some con?
What the hell for, man?
Come with me. Black, destitute of light, devoid of color, enveloped in darkness, hence utterly dismal or gloomy, as the future looked black.
Pretty good with them words, ain't you?
Soiled with dirt, foul, sullen, hostile, forbidding, as a black day. Foully or outrageously wicked, as black cruelty, indicating disgrace, dishonor, or culpability. And there's others. Black male, black ball, black guard.
Yeah, man, there's something all right.
Let's look up white. Here. Read.
White. Of the color of pure snow. Reflecting all the rays of the spectrum. The opposite of black. Free from spot or blemish. Innocent. Pure. There's something without evil intent. Harmless. Honest. Square dealing and honorable. Wait a minute. This was written by white folks, though, right? This white folks book.
It sure ain't no black man's book.
So what we reading this one for?
Because the truth is lying there. If you read behind.
Yeah, if you read behind the line. So they basically tell you who they all about. And that's all a part of their pseudoscience. All right? Black and white, just like it said, Hollywood industry exposed. Black and white are colors and not nationality or ethnicity. The men of the Lord have been telling you that out the gate. And that's true. There's no, because people aren't, both of those men were different shades of brown. No matter how dark a person, how chocolate they are, sun-kissed they are, they're still brown. Okay? The darkest of chocolate to the lightest of a caramel brown. And then, with so-called white people. Just look at Glenn Beck. He's a perfect example. He's red. High definition TV, if you just have a high definition TV, you see every day that these people, when you turn it on, that they're not white. And they really, those high definitions really show how their skin is really Well, how can these people be running around saying that they're the chosen? I mean, really. But that is a social construct, that whole black and white thing, which they created, and it's a part of pseudoscience. The whole this evolution, that they came from Darwinism, and I always talk about how they took this false narratives that he created, which is Mongoloid, Negroid, and Caucasoid. All right, and they align that with Ham, Shem, and Japheth. All right, that's what they tried to do. They tried to marry the two together and create it, and it's just pseudoscience. It's false science. Science means to know. I mean, I don't want to say too much, but it's false science ruling all over this society right now as I speak. But let's go to the scriptures. Let's go to 1 Timothy 6 and man, has this scripture come out a lot these last couple years, a whole lot. But 1 Timothy 6:20, and it reads, O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science falsely so called. So, the Lord through Timothy warned us that, there would come a day when these people would use pseudoscience, false science, to try to supersede the truth, supersede even the word of God, or true science, So let's go back. Let's go to a video. Show some evidence of the whitewashing of history. So not only did they, create this false narrative of whiteness, then they use that and they use this false whiteness to cover up and hide history. And you've often heard me say that the Dark Ages was referred to as the Dark Ages, the true meaning, because it was dark people ruling. And that it was so-called Negroes. I mean, I don't know how many times we got to show you the coats of arms from Donald Fairbanks' book that was written in 1869, and all the coats of arms, every one of them was black. Was so-called black, I should say. I only say that, I hate that word, but I only use that word so that the ignorant would know what I'm talking about. All right, same thing as with white. All right, and and Esau Edom, the so-called white man, finally got the dominion over Europe again, because they took Europe from brown-skinned people when Alexander came in with his armies during the time of Alexander, when they took Greece and then labeled themselves Greece, and they turned around and did the same thing, everywhere that they went. They renamed everything. When they came here to the Americas, now they call themselves Americans. It's nothing any difference. Every place they go, that's what they do. They take on the nationality of the people that are there and just call themselves by those names, and then they teach history from a point of view as if they were always there, which is why people are so confused about Europe, because they think Caucasian people came from Europe when they did not. Caucasian people took over Europe from brown-skinned people, all right? And then the Negroes took it over from them when Rome fell. So let's present the history, the evidence of when it happened, out the horse's mouth. So we have a British historian that's going to break down history to this black woman who was very ignorant of these things, but he educated her. So here we go.
What do you know about the Romans from being taught history?
Oh, well, I know Rome was not built in a day, that's for sure. Very good gladiators. I can remember Julius Caesar.
Well, it's really interesting you say that, because Julius Caesar is the individual, along with Cleopatra, which most people reference when they talk about the Roman Empire. And Caesar is also famous for coming to Britain, and a lot of people think that Caesar conquered Britain, but he didn't. So effectively, he came, he saw, but he didn't conquer. Oh. Now, the most important Roman, I would argue, who actually ever came to Britain was the African emperor, Septimius Severus.
Hold on. Let's just stop there.
Okay.
Are you telling me there was an African emperor?
There was an African emperor, and he was one of the greatest Roman emperors. So he was born in North Africa,
Yeah,
in AD 145, and he died Here,
Here.
right beneath your feet.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So it's
In York.
In York, this is where he would have lived. His bedroom would have been within 10 yards of where we're sitting, below us. Actually, I can show you what the family looked like.
Really?
Because we have a portrait here called the Severin Tomba. This is like a photograph
Oh my goodness.
of the Severin family. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
There they are.
Wow. It's amazing to actually see his portrait. It's a black man, isn't it? I always remember the Romans being quite violent when I was at school. Was Severus nasty?
He was a warrior. He came here to Britain in AD 208. He got a message from the governor.
There it
and
is.
The governor said that we here in Britain are being attacked from the north and we're in danger of being overrun. The first thing he does is have them build the walls of Roman London.
Wow.
So the city of London, to this day, the square mile is defined by the African emperor Septimius Severus. If you walk into
And they keep calling him African. All right, he was an Israelite. He was from North Africa, from a province where Israelites were. And there was actually, you know, Israelites all in the Roman army, and he was one of the Roman generals that fought with another Roman general to get the dominion. He actually defeated Pessinus Niger, who most people would ignorantly call Niger. His name was Pessinus Niger. All right, because Niger and Nigger are the same thing, and it only really meant dark flesh or dark skin. It didn't have the negative connotation that it has now today. It wasn't a negative word at a point in time. Now it is. I might even grab the definition just to prove that point.
reception area of the British Museum, the first bust you see is a bust of Septimius Severus, alabaster white.
And then they show him
Actually,
white.
when it was in real life in the Roman world, it would have been painted as he was, a man from North Africa, a black man.
So no one would know that that was not a white man?
Absolutely right. This is a man who's there all the time. He's right in front of us all the time in the British Museum. But
As a white guy.
unless you dig into the story, that he was.
So that was enough when they said, unless you dig into the story. But that just goes to show you that's just the, you know, Esau busted with the with the his hand in the cookie jar, just outright lying. This is Psalms 85:11, and in that bust, I mean that painting of him, why isn't that on display? See, they had that, but that's not on display. Okay, this is Psalms 85:11, because you know why? It wouldn't fit the lies and the narrative that they're portraying. That will make you question, all right, who because Queen Elizabeth just celebrated 70 years on the throne. Well, she's not related to Septimius Severus or any of the people who reigned over Europe all the way up into George, because George put all these Benjamin Franklin and all those Edomites that came over here. They were all running from the rulership of George, and George was the so-called black man, George III. All right? Because even in that time, even though Esau began to get the dominion around 1492 when Cristobal Colon, a.k.a. Christopher Columbus, sailed, they began to get the dominion. They still didn't get total control over Europe, over Britain and London and the UK and all that area until the mid 1700s. That's when they finally got the control. All right, over everything that would be. All right, but this is Psalms 85:11, and it reads, "Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven." And that truth springing out of the earth are those relics, those paintings, and those original, those old, not new busts that they just put up and say, "Hey, this is this guy," and they make it white, so-called white. But but a lot of these relics and things that were hidden or dug up, proves the ethnicity and the aesthetics of people during certain periods in time. All right, so I hope this was an edifying video. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, by Hashem Awashai, by Hashem Rakakwadash, Wa Abba Babal Kwam Yasharala Shalom.